Every single year right after OTAs, PFF, who God knows I've had a lot of issues with, comes out with all 32 teams' projected starting lineups. And, of course, they listed the Broncos as well. And PFF says they're quoted to make big, major changes to their starting lineup. So it's exactly what we're going to break down in today's episode. What's up, Broncos country? Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. My name is Moose, and before we get started, thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate it. Helping us get to 36,000 subscribers is no small feat. It is my very first, by the way, milestone here on the channel. I humbly thank you for everything that you guys have done for me in this first month of me taking over the show. But we are now on to our next milestone, which is 37,000 subscribers. So do me a favor, hit that big red free sub button and lock us in. All right, so here's what Sports Illustrated captured on this PFF article. They said, even though it's still early, the Denver Broncos have done well to build their roster, making the projection of the starting lineups relatively easy. This is a testament to the work done by the Broncos head coach Sean Payton and general manager George Payton, and now they've kept 86% of the roster intact from last year. That's insane. Pro Football Focus's Dalton Wasserman and Max Chadwick took a swing at projecting the starting lineups for all 32 NFL teams, and the Broncos projection looks spot on. So I should mention this straight off the gate. This is PFF's projected starters, and I agree with the majority of it. Like, overwhelmingly, this is a rare PFFW. So we're going to start, of course, with the cakewalks. Quarterback Bo Nix. We don't even need to deep dive into that. It's obvious who the starting quarterback is. Then our first change, and it's running back RJ Harvey. Now, you'll notice that on the projected starters list, there are 12 on each list right here. They throw in an extra player as a rotational starter, which you'll see coming up here in just a second. But the very first starting running back they have is RJ Harvey. And I don't think that's wrong. I just don't think RJ Harvey is your lead back week 1. I think he's your lead back week 3. And I say that because Sean Payton will want to make sure that Harvey gets a flow and a feel for the speed of the NFL game. It also helps that they play the Tennessee Titans week 1, so he doesn't have to come out and take the bulk of the snaps and the carries when you have a good rotation of running backs starting, from day 1 with Jaleel McLaughlin and Audric Estime. And I feel like you're going to see a nice rotation, a circulation of all three of those guys within the first couple of weeks. But make no mistake about it. By week 3, RJ Harvey is your lead back. That is for sure. Which leads me into our second running back, which they have listed as Audric Estime. And again, this is a kind of another change-up considering last year RB2 was Jaleel McLaughlin. Well, kind of a combination of Jaleel and Audric Estime with Javonte Williams being your number 1. But if you look at 2024 stats, I think it's clear they believe that Audric Estime deserves the chance to become a breakout candidate. And don't get it twisted. A breakout candidate doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to run for 1,000 yards, have 1,400 yards from scrimmage, and 10 touchdowns. A breakout candidate for an RB2 role could be 500 yards, 600 yards. A goal line back that finds the end zone 6 or 7 times. So Audric Estime to me is a breakout candidate, but as an RB2 for sure, because RJ Harvey is going to be your RB1. So there's a lot of different roles and different ways that you can look at different positional players right now. But PFF has Harvey and Estime listed as your 2 starting running backs heading into 2025, which bleeds into our wide receivers, the weapons. Courtland Sutton obviously is your number 1. We don't even need to, again, same with Bo Nix. It's clear, it's obvious. I found it interesting that their wide receiver 2 is Devon Vele. And Vele started 7 games last season. And as many of you in the comment section of the last couple of videos have correctly pointed out, Vele seems to be progressing into the wide receiver 2. His stats last year, while not eye-popping, leave a lot of hope and optimism ahead of the 2025 season. And I can currently look at the Broncos wide receiver depth chart and don't look at this as like the end all be all. This is just right now in June what it's slated as. Devon Vele will most likely shift into that wide receiver 2 spot. We have to wait for training camp to come along and mandatory minicamp. The only thing we've seen so far is OTAs. And OTAs, when you're not playing in pads or going 100%, just kind of feels like something that you look at and go, we can't make it an official prognostication, an official hypothesis, or an official guess. We could just kind of like go off of what we've seen so far. The other pass catchers that were listed as the starters were Marvin Mims, and there's your next big switch up, Evan Engram. Again, pretty obvious that when you brought him in free agency, that he was going to start, considering how bad the Broncos tight end room was last year. And this, so far, from a weapons standpoint, is shaping up to be a really, really fun offense. The only thing that really made zero changes, at least on offense, was your offensive line. And I threw in PFF ranks in this for you because it's a PFF article. This is your starting lineup from last year. And again, a very, very solid core, a unit that Sean Payton has had high praise for, and barring any injuries, I would expect to be a top unit in the NFL once again. So that's it for the offense. Not so many changes, but also major changes in the areas that you need, especially in tight end and running back. So do you agree with PFF's projected offense? Let me know in the comment section down below, yes or no. I'm saying, for the most part, yes, this feels like it's the correct statement. You could obviously throw in McLaughlin over Estime or maybe Mims over Vele if you wanted to. I'm very okay with it right now. We'll obviously see more going forward as we get into mandatory minicamp and training camp. Now, the projected defense. This is where I feel like more of the switch up comes. And I'll get into all of PFF's projected starters on defense here in just a second. But before we do that, make sure, by the way, we came back for one time and one time only this week. I was talking to our ad guy here, Mr. Jack Jahdae, who said a lot of people were very interested in the Broncos hoodie, according to our analytics. So I brought it back. It's still 40% off, thankfully, that you could use this link in the comments and description of today's video to start shopping today. Just go to chatsports.com/Broncos hoodie. It helps out the channel. And by the way, there's a little handshake deal where if you buy, it kicks us back. So if you want to support the channel, make sure you use the link that I've put in the comments and description of today's video to get started. All right, let's get into the projected starters for defense. Again, somebody that we re-signed back in March during free agency, defensive lineman DJ Jones at nose tackle. Not something that I feel like any Broncos fan would be like, whoa, crazy change. It was very much predicted. Same with Zach Allen, also coming in after that amazing 2024 season. The defensive line you'll find here is pretty much straight up, exactly what you thought it would be. John Franklin Myers comes in as the last defensive lineman. Now, the only caveat I'll throw in with JFM is if that contract isn't met, does he sit out? I don't think he will. But in the event that he does, do you put the rookie in, Savion Jones, in place of him? It's possible. You could also put Malcolm Roach there as well. I know he's primarily a nose tackle, but he has also played some defensive line, so you could flip him outside to that defensive tackle spot as well. But again, I view this as your starting three going forward for sure. Now let's couple the next two guys because, again, this is straight up exactly what you thought it would be. Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper, who technically play the outside linebacker role, but they're edges. That's their pretty much, that's their position, although it's listed as an outside linebacker according to PFF. I don't know why, but that's what they've got. Now the starting linebackers. Dre Greenlaw, first big splash that we made in free agency, and Alex Singleton coming off of his ACL tear last year. I know Singleton started the first 3 games, but obviously being out, it looked a little bit different. Now, this linebacker room right now as it's currently slated, super talented, ridiculously talented from a production standpoint. And this front seven is very scary. Like, outside of maybe the Philadelphia Eagles, name me a scarier looking front seven in the NFL. I'll wait. I don't think you can. The only thing I'll say about the linebacker room is that with the injuries that Greenlaw and Singleton and Drew Sanders have suffered in the last couple of seasons, there's a little bit of a question mark and crossing of the fingers as let's just hope they stay healthy. All right, let's move on now to the secondary. This is where my real only issue, and I don't want to even call it an issue, I just have it differently. Pat Surtain, Riley Moss, Jahdae, Barron, Brandon Jones, and Talanoa Hufanga. Now, the reason I say there's an issue with this, if you want to call it that, is that I personally would make the switch. I would say put Barron at outside corner to start and move J-Mac to the nickel corner spot, Jaquan McMillan. That's the only personal gripe that I have. I know Jahdae Barron's natural position is the slot corner. But Sean Payton also came out and said that he envisions Barron playing both. So is there a possibility that week one against a rookie quarterback, you could put Jahdae Barron at the outside corner spot? I think so. Jahdae played outside corner at Texas as well. He primarily played the nickel corner, but he's so versatile and has so many different ways that he can play that it wouldn't be a weird position for him to sit in. I also think that there's nothing wrong with having Riley Moss start at the outside corner and putting Jahdae at the slot. You're just having an unbelievable rotation of corners right now between Riley, Jaquan McMillan, and Jahdae. All three of those guys are going to be interchangeable at those respective positions. Pat Surtain obviously being cornerback one right now. So I look at it and I say, that's a pretty decent list. I could go like this either way with what they had for the cornerback room, but for the most part, this is a rare PFFW. I thought they hit the nail on the head for the most part. So let me know, same question, do you agree with PFF's defensive starters? Yes or no, let me know in the comment section down below. Like I said, mostly yes. You could make a slight adjustment there, but I'm pulling at straws and, I'm arguing inches, not feet here. It could go either way. All right, just a reminder, one more time. Thank you so much for 36,000 subscribers here on the channel. Make sure you lock us in and hit that sub button. And as always, be cool.